Hello, hello, and welcome back to Marshall Sports. Today is November 30th, 2019, and today I have two very special guests with me, Mr. Jeffrey Marshall and Mr. Sterling Kellogg Clark, coming live from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. How are you guys doing?
Oh man, doing great,
We're
doing great.
awesome, man. We are excited.
Seeing all this purple and gold. So we're trying to make them a little frown tonight, but
Yeah.
we'll see how it works.
In fact,
For sure,
the
for
seat I'm
sure.
sitting in is a purple and gold.
Yeah, so
seat,
just to fill in anyone who might not be aware of who we are, what are you guys doing today?
We're gonna beat the hell out of LSU.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. So
that's right. Yeah, the
took a
boys
trip
from
down.
College Station head into Baton Rouge tonight, trying to pull off the upset against the number 2 team, I believe, right?
Yeah, whatever college football playoff rankings tried to say.
Yeah, we don't have we're not in it, so we're not concerned with it, right?
No, we're just here for a good time. We're not here to
For
no
sure.
expectations. So.
Yeah, for sure. So coming off, that big seven overtime victory last year in College Station, I have a feeling that the boys from Baton Rouge are going to come out hot, really wanting to get a victory. Hopefully Jimbo has our guys riled up, and hopefully we can keep it close and hopefully somehow come out with another upset.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an emotional game on both sides. I mean, it's just really going to be who plays the better quarterback, honestly. I mean, you got both guys are capable. Both defenses are capable. I think our defense is playing at a higher level at this juncture. But, yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. It's going to be really emotional. So
No, for sure. And I think last week, for a very short period of time, we saw a glimpse of what our offense and defense can be like when we're clicking on all cylinders. You know what I mean? That fourth quarter, when Kellen went on that drive and our defense was just getting stop after stop, we saw what this team is supposed to be, but for some reason we haven't been able to do it for 4 quarters of the game in any game, really.
No, I agree. If you were around here in Baton Rouge, man, you would think that we didn't beat them last year.
Yeah.
You would think that we cheated our way to victory.
Of course, always, yeah. That LSU fans, they are something. Have you guys gotten any rude? Have you been yelled at yet?
We were walking at a bar, and this guy just turned to me and goes, "Hey, F you, Aggies. F the Aggies." And I turn around, just gave him a nice smile.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you can do. Just take the higher road,
Yeah.
Us Aggies, we're gonna keep it classy, but we can't say the same thing for LSU fans, unfortunately.
We just hiss at them and keep going. So
there you go. Just move on. All right, so enough about A&M for now. I'm gonna share my screen, and we're gonna jump into some of these games today. Of course, it's rivalry week, so a lot of fun games that have already happened but are also happening today. So let me pull this up real quick, and we will get into that. So we just talked about A&M LSU. We'll come back to that one. Big game to start the day. Ohio State at Michigan. What are your general thoughts on this game, Jeff?
This one's an interesting one. Michigan's been playing a lot better lately. I thought Ohio State looked a little vulnerable. And I think Michigan give a run for their money. I definitely thought different, a couple weeks ago. But I still think Ohio State can pull it out. But definitely a game to watch.
Yeah. Well, I think when you look at the Ohio State-Penn State game, I mean, Ohio State could have easily been up 21-zip at the half, if not for the Justin Fields fumble, and they still ended up winning by 11 points. I think it was 2 or 3 turnovers they had throughout the game. So I really think Ohio State still has the huge advantage here, talent-wise, coach-wise. So I still think they're going to probably have a similar game as to Penn State, 11-point win. So.
No,
in that ballpark,
I definitely have to agree with both of you guys. I think we know what we're going to get from Ohio State week in, week out. It's a matter of what are we going to get from Shea Patterson on the Michigan side.
Yeah.
Is he going to come out firing on all cylinders like he has been the last few days, or is he going to come out kind of like nervous, not coming out super confident? I think the only way Michigan even keeps this one close is if he is on fire today.
Yeah, and if Ohio State can turn the ball over and Michigan can force some mistakes, I think they can get in the game. But if Ohio State's rolling, if Justin Fields is rolling, I don't see any chance Michigan pulls it out.
For sure. Yeah. All right, moving on to another early game. We got Clemson headed to South Carolina. We saw the Gamecocks pull off the big upset against Georgia earlier this season. Do they have another upset in them, though?
Yeah, I'm gonna say no. You can
no.
Hey,
no.
Some would argue that this is one of the biggest games. Even though South Carolina is 4-7, some would argue that this is one of the toughest opponents for Clemson this year.
That is a good point. I mean, they really haven't been challenged a whole lot. I mean, and it's going to be an emotional game. I mean, it's a state rivalry, so anything can happen. It's college football, man. I mean, who knows? So
let's go with that one.
Yeah,
I totally agree. I think it's one of those things. I don't think Clemson pulls it off, but it's either going to be a close win for Clemson or Clemson's just going to blow them out of the water. Yeah. Move on swiftly to the ACC championship. All right, moving on to the opponent that A&M played last week. Georgia headed to Atlanta to face with Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, this has been kind of a rebuild season for them. I know that they've been running the triple option for the last 50 billion years. So I know, moving to the spread has been a change, and they don't necessarily have the personnel right now. Georgia's going to destroy them, no doubt.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Yeah, I don't see any. I mean, even if their offense struggles, Georgia's just far and away the better team. So
okay, so one that I wouldn't have said was interesting a couple weeks ago now has become extremely interesting. The 2019 Iron Bowl that's coming up today. Alabama headed to Auburn to face on with them. Without Tua, does Alabama dominate like they have been?
I don't see them dominating. Definitely, watching Auburn, play, in College Station, definitely seeing Bo Nix, he's definitely gotten better, as a freshman. And, this could be a really interesting game. This, with Alabama trying to get that 4 spot, definitely possibly over the Pac-12 champion. I don't know, but I still think Alabama can pull it off, but it's going to be a great game to watch.
Yeah, I mean, same thing. I mean, it's going to be emotional. Auburn can play spoilers. That's going to be their MO, and yeah, I mean, it's going to be a good game, but I think Bama still has a talent advantage pretty much everywhere except for quarterback. So, which is like Jeff said, that's the wild card. So if he can play well, I think they can dethrone Bama.
For sure. I definitely think Auburn has a big chance here without Tua. But like Sterling said, there's just so much talent on that roster that they might be able to make up for it. All right, moving on. So this is a huge game in the Big Ten. Wisconsin at Minnesota. Minnesota had that slip up against Iowa, but they still control their own destiny when it comes to making the Big Ten championship. The winner of this game will play Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. And I know that game day is here this morning. Jeff, what do you think about this matchup?
Well, it is interesting that when it comes to the line, Wisconsin is a 3-point favorite. So even Vegas doesn't even think Minnesota is, looking like they can be.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lack of respect there. In Minnesota, they didn't necessarily dominate this year, but when it came to pulling out the victories, they just kept doing it. Other than that Iowa game, PJ Fleck and the boys just found a way to win.
Yeah, and one other thing about this game, I'm not even sure who the quarterbacks are for Wisconsin, Minnesota. That's probably not a good thing. And Wisconsin, I think the edge they have is, Jonathan Taylor, their running back. Probably the best all-around running back in football, you could argue. So I think it's going to be a ground and pound game. I think they have the edge there because of that. They can just run that horse and I think Wisconsin takes this one.
For sure. I honestly have no idea what's going to happen in that one. Who's going to win in the trenches will determine who's going to win there. But then also Tanner Morgan, Minnesota's quarterback, who's kind of led them to some good victories this year. How does he come out and play? But Jonathan Taylor is going to be Jonathan Taylor. He's going to come out ready to go. All right, so no need to even go over this one. I think Baylor is going to absolutely destroy Les Miles and the Jayhawks. I don't.
Mad Hatter, baby. Don't sleep on him.
Unless, unless Baylor just comes out thinking, all right, we're good. We're going to the championship game. We're going to the Big 12 championship. But I think they'll come out and take care of business. That coach there doesn't really let them slip up. He's done a great job there.
Well, Kansas is known to dethrone overrated Big 12 teams, so you got to watch it.
True, especially ones that rhyme with Crexes. All right. So moving down here, okay, so this is a pretty cool rivalry game that doesn't have any significance today, but historically does. Notre Dame, Stanford. When is David Shaw going to be fired?
Oof. Man. That's a tough question, man.
That's a guy who has been stealing money from that university for so long now. I would argue that he might even be worse than Kevin Sumlin.
I mean, what's their record of the last 5 years? Their average record? I mean,
man,
do you have on top of your head?
No, I don't. But they're 4-7 this year. They don't recruit players that can work in today's landscape, especially with the spread offense. I mean, we watched them
consistently.
We watched them get obliterated by a UCF team who doesn't. I mean, when it comes to stars like star power, they don't recruit as well as a team like Stanford does. But that defense got exposed, and I think it just goes to show that David Shaw might be sort of an outdated coach when it comes to defensive philosophies and offense. I mean, their offense doesn't do anything either. So Notre Dame's going to take care of business, and hopefully I want to see David Shaw gone just because it's kind of depressing when Stanford sucks.
Maybe Andrew Luck can take over.
Yeah, and Christian McCaffrey can come back, and they can be.
I mean, realistically, Andrew Luck would be an amazing football coach. I definitely think he's probably going to get into coaching. I know he still loves the game, even though it kind of messed him up. But I think he might end up at Stanford one day.
For sure.
Interesting game. Iowa State at Kansas State. Two games who have been sort of that mid-tier in the Big 12, mid-tier in the entire country, really. Haven't really watched much of these teams. I just know that they pulled off a couple of upsets. This is going to be a really close game, in my opinion. I think whoever's the home team might pull it off. The home crowd might help them out a little bit.
Kansas State is an interesting team. They win a big one against Oklahoma, and then they go and lay an egg against Texas. So that one could be up in the air.
I mean, what do you do? Didn't they start the season 5-0 or something like that? They were ranked. They were ranked pretty high, and then they've been pretty shaky ever since. So that one's kind of a coin flip, honestly. Utah is going to take care of Colorado. Utah will be. It's Utah and Oregon are locked in for the Pac-12 championship, right? Yeah. So I mean, does Utah control their destiny, or do they need a little help from the teams ahead of them to lose?
Well, if Alabama loses to Auburn, and there is no doubt that Utah definitely controls their own destiny.
Yeah. Now, they are undefeated currently, right, Colin? They're not?
No, they lost to Oregon.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I think.
But Oregon now has 2 losses, so they're going to play again, and then they'll be able to prove we can take care of a team like Oregon.
Yeah.
When it comes to what we learned, early losses in the season doesn't seem to matter.
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
More if you lose, because I think the committee knows not every team has it fully together at the beginning of the season. But if you could go on a run, I mean, a lot of them say what you do in November is the only thing that matters, and I completely understand that.
That's true.
Moving on. A game that isn't exciting, but usually is exciting. Florida State at Florida. I think Dan Mullen is going to take care of business. Florida State is, of course, going. Taggart got fired earlier this season after I mean, this was his second season.
Yeah,
He made it
season
1.5
job.
seasons, dude. Talk about, I mean, that's going to go down as one of the worst hires
Yeah.
in college football history.
And it made no sense at the time too. It wasn't like it was a bad hire and it started, and it's a bad hire now. It just made zero sense from a coaching and recruiting standpoint. I mean, the guy couldn't recruit at Oregon and he wasn't a good coach. It's like, dude, that's not a recipe to win in today's college football landscape.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Sterling. I think that they were not prepared whatsoever for Jimbo's departure at the time that he took off to come to A&M. And it was sort of like, okay, well, we've been good for so long, so we can just plug someone in regardless of their, tenure at other places, and we're still going to have a winning formula. It's not the way it works.
Exactly.
Jimbo is a national championship caliber coach. You can't just take him out of the picture and expect to continue winning, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Exactly. That's basically sums it up.
Yeah. For sure. So, Florida's going to take care of business against Florida State. Florida State is going to make a bowl game, though, which is something they didn't do last year. I know last year they broke the streak of like 38 years of going to a bowl game, which is incredible. But they'll be at a bowl game. Maybe A&M will play them, depending on what happens today. Big game. Big game in the state of Oklahoma. You got the Sooners headed into Stillwater to check in with the Mullets. What do you guys think about this game?
This one's an interesting one. Definitely look at the line we got here at Oklahoma at 13.
Yeah,
that's a
lot of points for a rivalry game.
A lot of points.
I mean, and away.
State.
Yeah, I mean, 13 points and the home team gets 13, and I'm sure on Bovada it's probably 14. So that's interesting, which we'll be looking at the lines here in a second. Okay, these are some of the games that they played the other night. Since we're in a hurry, we're just going to head over to the lines, take a look at some of these games. First off, we got Clemson at South Carolina, another one where a home team in a rivalry game getting 28 points. I know in the past few years we've watched Clemson absolutely obliterate South Carolina, but is there any chance that South Carolina can keep this within 28?
No way. Give me Clemson. No Clemson minus 28 all day long.
There you go.
I think they can. I think they could.
You think? All right. Well, Sterling's taking – well, whichever flip a coin. If you're going to go with Jeff or Sterling, personally, I'm taking Clemson here, laying the 28. All right, we got Ohio State, Michigan. Michigan is a 9.5-point underdog. Jeff, what are you doing here?
Give me Ohio State, minus 9.5.
Yeah,
Ohio State 9.5.
I think they're running away with it towards the end. I don't think Michigan or Shea Patterson can keep up. I think they win in the 21 to 28-point range. This is an easy decision for us. All right, quick firing now. We got the Iron Bowl, Auburn +4. Auburn +4 given the points, given that Tua is out. Jeff, what are you taking here?
It's a hard one, but I definitely got to take Alabama -4.
I'm going to take Bama -4 too.
You know what? I'm taking Auburn +4. I think that in the absence of Tua and the fact that Alabama is not out of the playoff picture, but I think that they're a little hurt. Especially since Tua's gone and they feel like, our chances have dwindled to win the national championship. Give me Auburn plus the points, and I'll be banking in, not like you guys on this game. All right. Let's see. Moving down to Wisconsin at Minnesota. This is one that you touched on earlier. Minnesota, the home team, is given the 3 points. Jeff, who are you taking here?
Give me Wisconsin -3.
Okay, Sterling.
I'm gonna say Wisconsin -3 too.
All right. Well, again,
JT
I'm going with Tanner Morgan, PJ Fleck, and the Minnesota Golden Gophers. They're going to take
the Leprechaun.
The boat's going to sink.
Matter of
the
fact,
Leprechaun rowing the boat, eh?
Nope. I'm not only taking the points. I'm taking the money line. So give me Minnesota straight up, and I'll see you guys at the
end of the river,
the collector's table. All right. Let's see. We got some other good games down here. I know we do. All right. Our boys from College Station headed into Baton Rouge on the road They're getting 17.5. Guys, no bias here. Who you taking?
Give me the minus 17.5 LSU.
Ooh, that's so unlike you. You usually let that bias slip in there when it comes to picking A&M. But okay, Sterling, who you got?
I'm going to pick the A&M. I think we're going to cover 17.
Okay, cool. So other than the spread, I noticed the over-under on this game. I'm taking the under.
Mm-hmm.
Give me under 64. I think that it's going to be a defensive game.
Mm-hmm.
A&M, they might not be clicking on offense, but they're going to come out and keep it close with their defense. Give me under 64, and hopefully I didn't make a horrible decision.
No, I think I totally agree with that decision. That's a very wise decision.
All right, so the rivalry game in Oklahoma and Stillwater today. This is one that we just touched on. Jeff, do you want to solidify your plus 13 with Oklahoma State?
Definitely. Give me that plus 13.
I'm going to go plus 13 too.
Man, again, I'm going different here. I think that Jalen Hurts is going to be clicking. Plus if it was plus 14, I would consider it. But I think Oklahoma easily covers with a 2-touchdown win.
Well, I think the mullet is a grown 50-year-old man now, so I think he's that big 5-0 man. He's ready.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think Oklahoma has taken care of Oklahoma State in the last few years. So I'm taking Oklahoma there, and I'm laying the 13. Hopefully that they'll win by 14. Let's see. Oh, well, that's pretty much it. Great day of college football. Rivalry week is always fun. I'm extremely sad that we are coming to the end of the season, and this is really the last final long day of college football. I know we have the conference championships next week, but this is the final day, so I wanted to make sure we got this video in because we're not going to have very many more. Is there anything you guys want to say about the game tonight?
I hope it's a good game. Even though I picked the LSU in the 17.5, I'm definitely hoping my Aggies play a great game, and hoping something special happens tonight.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, if it's anything like last year, it'll be fun, and
exactly.
I hope that LSU is going to come out angry after what happened last year, especially since they're playing for a playoff spot. But this has become a rivalry game now. This is replacing Texas, especially after
it truly has
last year. So,
Sterling,
any points? How A&M's going to take it tonight?
Yeah, I think we just have to match the intensity and the emotion of LSU, and I think they will. I really think they want to play spoiler, because they know the impact they can have on LSU, and I think we have nothing to lose, which is good. I mean, they have everything to lose, and we have nothing to lose. So that's another point. So
exactly,
we'll see what happens. So.
Yeah, and I hope for y'all's sake that A&M at least plays well, so it's not a really sad drive from Baton Rouge back to Houston.
Exactly,
because I've been on that drive. I've been on that drive after a big loss. I mean, that 2013 season when I went to Baton Rouge and Johnny played horrible. It was a very sad drive back. So I hope you guys, for y'all's sake, they play well.
We do too, man. Yeah,
it's good. It's
good. For sure.
How about Colin? How about that drive after the K-State game in 2016?
Remember that? My gosh, yeah. I mean, fortunately, that one was in Houston, but I just remember because
I remember your rant after the game.
We thought for sure Kevin Sumlin was gone, and when we found out that we were getting another year, we were just like, and then of course we started that 2017 season with that UCLA comeback. What was it, 33 points or something like that? So. I'm so glad he's gone. At least this team plays somewhat well in November, and it's not just a total disaster every year. But yeah, all right, we're out of time. I appreciate you guys coming on. Go Ags, gig 'em, and hopefully we have a fun day of college football.
Yes, sir, man.
Beat the hell out of LSU.
Beat the hell out of LSU.
BTHO LSU, baby. All right, you guys have a good one.
You too, CB. See you, man.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.